Miss Badcock.
Preston?
Is everything all right? Can I get her anything?
Get some smelling salts.
She was dead. Well, Miss Marple, I'm delighted to tell you that you are now off the sick list. But here's something for the pain.
But what if Miss Gregg is right, that the poison drink was meant for her? She might still be in danger.
Yes, but, well, you know what actresses are like.
Tell me, Doctor, do you know if she's told her husband any of this?
No, she didn't. I'm quite sure of that. In fact, I even suggested that perhaps she should. It is extraordinary.
What is?
A good dose of sleuthing always brings the colour to your cheeks.
Inspector Hewitt.
Inspector?
Ah, Miss Marple.
I've just seen Dr. Haydock.
Nothing serious, I hope.
No, on the contrary, I'm perfectly well, thank you. He mentioned something that I think you ought to know.
This business has made us all a bit edgy.
Especially your wife, I understand.
Well, she's sensitive at the best of times. This hasn't exactly helped.
Excuse me, Mr. Rudd. We were wondering if Miss Gregg might be available for a costume fitting tomorrow
How the hell should I know?
I've been told your wife was rather distracted while Heather Badcock was speaking to her.
Cut it. It's perfectly possible all this handshaking does get a little tedious.
But you didn't notice anything yourself?
Well, I think I did give her a nudge at one point to wake her up, but she was fine after that.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
20 minutes, John!
Mr. Rudd, I've got 2 dozen journalists on the phone, Jason, wanting to know when they can talk to either you or
I'll get
Maria.
back to you.
Oh, they're very persistent.
10 minutes, Ella, okay?
Okay.
As you can see, things are pretty hectic, so if you wouldn't
Mr.
mind...
Rudd, has it occurred to you that the poisoning of Heather Badcock may have been entirely accidental, and that the real intended victim was your wife?
Very astute, Inspector. That's what I thought all along.
Then why haven't you said anything?
Because I don't want her to suspect for one moment that someone's out to kill her.
Hello?
I saw you do it.
What?
Honey, who is it?
I saw you put the tablets in the glass.
Your husband number...
5. Almost a cliche, isn't it? She's got it into her head that she's cursed with bad luck. Well, I have every intention of proving her wrong.
Good for you.
You see, Inspector, she expects too much. She really believes you can be happy ever after. Well, life's not like that, is it?
And what about children?
That's one of the reasons she considers herself unlucky. She finally resorted to adoption and then, of course, got pregnant. She was over the moon, but the result was catastrophic. She gave birth to a boy who was severely retarded and had a complete breakdown. I met her on a comeback movie, Marie Antoinette, shortly after she recovered.
And the son?
He had to be put into a home.
In America?
Yes, but he was recently moved into a home over here.
Does she see him?
Too much contact would drive her over the edge, and we can't risk that. But life goes on.
Not for Miss Badcock. It was you, wasn't it, Mr. Rudd, who gave her her drink?
Yes, the daiquiri. I gave one to Miss Badcock, then one to Marina. It's Marina's favourite.
Oh, thanks.
And this was about the time that Vincent Hogg and Lola Brewster appeared?
Yes.
I do not believe it. Vincent and Lola.
Marina put her drink down on the table. She hadn't touched it, and greeted them. And that's where her drink remained. And it was only then that it could have been tampered with. Don't ask me how it was done. And as for who did it, well, you have about 20 possible culprits to choose from. Not now.
What then?
My wife finally managed to retrieve her drink when that woman must have spilled hers.
It's all right, really. I'm sorry.
And Marina offered her drink to Miss Badcock, and that was that. But I can assure you the fatal dose couldn't have been added after then, because Miss Badcock drank it immediately. And 5 minutes later, she was dead.
Can you think of anyone who would wish to harm your wife, Mr. Rudd?
I think it's fair to say that in our business we derive a certain pleasure from seeing colleagues fall flat on their faces. But as for wishing them dead, not as a rule.
Didn't know you were a film mag fan, miss.
I'm not. Just curious, that's all. They belong to poor Miss Badcock. Inspector Hewitt kindly procured them for me.
How long have you been Mr. Rudd's secretary?
5 years.
You knew him before he met Marina?
Oh, yes. I suppose as Brits we had a natural affinity. He's a sort of genius, you know. It's still so young.
You like the job?
Suits my purpose. Although I hadn't bargained on murder.
6 times the recommended dose could hardly be anything else.
In an accident?
And how would that happen?
These theatrical types, they have the most curious lapses in intelligence. I mean, sometimes I think the more artistic they are, the less common sense they have.
I still don't see how such an accident could happen.
One of the guests might have wanted an upper or a downer, having forgotten what they had earlier, put too much in the glass, and then put it down, got distracted and went off. Along comes Miss, what's her name? Thinks it's our glass, picks it up and drinks it. People are very stupid, you know.
Sorry, sir.
Tell me, Miss Blunt, does Marina Gregg take Carmo?
Oh, yes, we all do.
Have you any idea when I might be able to talk to her?
She's always throwing temperaments, and this has given her the perfect opportunity to throw a really big one.
Would you say she's difficult to work for?
Difficult? She's an absolute monster. The woman has no moderation. She's either jumping for joy or in the depths of despair, and there are certain topics one simply can't mention.
Such as?
Mental breakdown, psychiatric hospitals, anything to do with children. She can't have any more, you see, and the one she did have is completely bonkers.
But it's not Mr. Rudd's child, is it?
No. The husband before last.
And where's he now?
Florida.
Miss Blunt, do you know if Marina Gregg is afraid of anyone?
Marina? Afraid? Hay fever. It's a complete nightmare.
Day out in London? What a lovely idea.
I've been behaving disgracefully, gentlemen. Will you ever forgive me? I just let myself go to pieces after this awful thing. Do take a seat, Inspector.
Thank you, Miss Gregg. This is Sergeant Tiddler.
Pull up a chair, Sergeant Tiddler. Make yourself at home.
Tiddler, chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm so ashamed of myself.
It's only natural that you should have felt upset.
I'd no business making out it was worse for me than anyone else.
Hadn't you, Miss Gregg? Well, hadn't you?
You're a very perceptive inspector, aren't you?
Why do you think someone wanted to kill you?
It was my glass, my drink, that had been tampered with. It was just a mistake that that woman got it. I wouldn't have said anything, but Jason insisted.
You've confided in him, then?
Dr. Haydock suggested I should. Jason thought the same as me. He thought it all along. I hope you're getting this, Sergeant.
I am, Mom.
Have you any idea, Miss Gregg, who might have tampered with your drink?
It could have been anyone. Jason, darling, Inspector Hewitt thinks I know who spiked my drink, and I keep telling him I don't.
But I can't help thinking that perhaps you know a little more than you're telling me.
God, I'm exhausted.
Just one more thing.
Can't this wait, Inspector?
While Miss Badcock was speaking to you, you looked over her shoulder and saw something that seemed to alarm you. Now, is this true, Miss Gregg?
Of course it isn't. What could possibly have alarmed me?
It seems you might have been looking at the staircase, and at about that time, Vincent Hogg arrived with Lola Brewster. Was it this that upset you?
I wasn't upset. Who said I was?
Inspector, I think it's time to go.
You didn't even know they were coming, did you?
I'd no idea they were even in England.
So it was a surprise.
Yes, it was. A delightful surprise.
Delightful to see your ex-husband
Inspector.
with your current husband's ex-lover on his arm.
Yesterday's papers, Inspector.
So you knew about the affair, did you?
You're very persistent, aren't you?
Did Lola Brewster ever make any threats towards you, Miss Gregg?
She wouldn't dare.
I'd heard that she'd pulled a gun on you at a party after Mr. Rudd dumped her.
Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Lola Brewster had no opportunity of poisoning that drink because I was close beside her most of the time.